In the bustling heart of Lagos, Nigeria, behind towering gates and guarded by vigilant private security, stood a prestigious hospital known for treating only the wealthiest of patients. This was a place where money could buy the best medical care. But even within its opulent walls, no amount of wealth could restore what had been lost in room 706. This was where Dami Ayi, once the most feared name in Nigerian business, lay in a coma, forgotten by the world outside. Dami had been a titan in the corporate world, a billionaire by the age of 33, known for his ruthlessness and cold demeanor. He was a man who had built an empire from the ground up, feared by competitors and revered by his employees. His name was synonymous with power and success, and he had a reputation for being untouchable. But after a catastrophic car accident on the Third Mainland Bridge, he had become a mere shell of his former self, silent, motionless, and without visitors. That was until Amara Ez, a young nurse from Ajegunle, stepped into his life. Amara was different from the others. Soft-spoken and kind-hearted, she believed in the power of prayer and the importance of doing her job well, even when no one was watching. She had grown up in a modest household where her parents instilled in her the values of compassion and hard work. Her upbringing had taught her to see beyond the surface, to recognize the humanity in everyone, regardless of their status. When Okan, the head neurologist, called her into his office, she felt a flutter of anxiety. Amara, he said slowly, this isn't an easy case. Most nurses avoid it, but I think you might be different. He gestured to the thick file on his desk. As she opened it, her heart sank. Demiai. Everyone knew that name. The crash had been a topic of hushed conversations, a miracle that he had survived. But since then, there had only been silence. I'll do it, she said quietly, before she could second-guess herself. She felt a strange pull toward this man, a desire to help him regain his life. That night, Amara climbed to the top floor of the hospital, entering a private suite that felt more like a palace than a patient room. The soft lights, polished wood, and faint scent of lavender enveloped her as she approached Dami, lying still in the center of it all. He looked nothing like the fierce businessman depicted in the newspapers. Instead, he appeared pale and beautiful in a haunting way. His once commanding presence was now reduced to a fragile figure, lying motionless. As she dipped a warm cloth into the basin and walked toward him, a chill ran through her spine when her hand touched his skin. It felt as if he were aware, as if deep within that coma, he was still listening. Let's clean you up, sir, she whispered. Even legends need a bath. Thus began their daily ritual. Every day, Amara came to wash him, to talk to him, to share stories about her life, her frustrations, and her laughter. She would tell him about her family, her dreams, and the little joys of her day. Sometimes I talk just to hear myself, she murmured one morning. No answer, of course, she smiled. Or maybe you're listening. As the days turned into weeks, Amara found herself looking forward to her time with Dami. She would bring him small tokens from the outside world, a flower, a piece of chocolate, or even a handwritten note filled with her thoughts. She believed that somehow he could feel her presence, that her words were reaching him in some way. Then, one day, something miraculous happened. As she lifted his arm, she felt a light pressure around her wrist. His fingers, slow and shaky, curled around her hand. Dami, she whispered, her heart racing. But silence enveloped the room. She rushed to Dr. Okan, her voice trembling. He moved. It's real. The doctor raised an eyebrow, skeptical. It could be a reflex, he said. But Amara knew what she felt. She had spent countless hours by his side, and she believed in the connection they were forming. Days turned into weeks, and Dami's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. He began to respond, to move, to speak. Yet he couldn't remember the crash, only flashes of confusion. I remember a feeling, he said one afternoon, frustration etched on his face. Like something was wrong? Amara sensed the darkness lurking beneath his memories. That night, she returned to his file, reading it with new eyes. Brake failure, deliberate tampering. Her heart raced. Someone wanted him gone. She felt a surge of determination. She had to protect him, to uncover the truth behind the accident. As Dami regained strength, the media buzzed with whispers of his awakening. But he was not the same man they remembered. He was quieter, more introspective, haunted by the shadows of his past. He struggled with the fragments of his memory, and Amara was there to support him through every moment of uncertainty. One evening, after a long therapy session, Amara suggested a walk. The cool night air felt liberating, and for the first time in months, Dami felt like himself again. As they walked, He noticed the way her fingers lingered on his arm, the way her breath caught when he stepped too close. It was a connection that transcended words, a bond forged in the fires of adversity. Amara, he began, his voice steady. I don't remember anything about my old life, but I know this, I trust you. Her heart raced, and in that moment, everything changed. The walls they had built around their emotions began to crumble, revealing the depth of their feelings for one another. Days turned into weeks, and Dami's strength returned. He walked into a boardroom, confident and determined. But the shadows of betrayal loomed large. He needed to confront the truth behind his accident. With Amara by his side, they dug deeper into the records, uncovering a money transfer to a man named Felix Adepoju, a criminal linked to staged accidents. The sender? Nosa Ai, Dami's half-brother. It was him, Dami said, his voice low. He tried to kill me. They devised a plan, calm and calculated. A meeting was arranged, one Nosa couldn't resist. Inside the family mansion, Dami confronted his brother. Why did you do it? Nosa smirked, revealing his bitterness. You were always the chosen one. I was nothing but the leftover. As the police burst in, Nosa's facade crumbled. You set me up, he shouted, but Dami remained calm. No, brother, you did this to yourself. With Nosa arrested, a strange peace settled over Dami's life. The shadows had lifted, and the lies were buried. But one thing remained unspoken between him and Amara, the depth of their feelings for each other. One night, Amara entered a candlelit dining room, her heart racing. Dami, what is this? Dinner, he replied, his eyes soft. Just us? As they sat, Dami spoke from the heart. You didn't just keep me alive, you gave me a reason to live. I love you, he whispered, and in that moment, everything changed. Weeks later, Dami stood on a rooftop, the sunset painting the sky. Will you marry me? He asked, dropping to one knee. Yes, 1,000 times yes, Amara breathed, tears of joy streaming down her face. Their wedding was a dream, filled with love and laughter. As they walked away from the noise, Dami whispered, You are the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Under the night sky, their story began anew. Love isn't about timing or gifts, it's about choosing someone, even when it's hardest. When Dami lost everything, Amara stayed, and it was love, not money, that saved him. What would you do if the one person who saved your life became your whole world? Do you believe love can truly heal what money never could? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more soul-stirring tales. Chapter 1, The Coma. The hospital was a world of its own, a place where life and death danced in a delicate balance. Room 706 was a sanctuary of silence, where the beeping of machines provided the only soundtrack to Dami's existence. He lay there, a man who had once commanded boardrooms and dictated terms, now reduced to a figure in a hospital bed. His body was still, but his mind was a labyrinth of memories, some clear and others shrouded in darkness. Amara entered the room each day with a sense of purpose. She would wash him, talk to him, and share her life with him. She believed that her words could reach him, that he could hear her, even in his unconscious state. Today I saw a beautiful sunset, she would say, her voice soft and soothing. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink. I wish you could see it. As the days turned into weeks, Amara began to notice subtle changes. Dami's fingers would twitch occasionally, and she would hold her breath, hoping that it was a sign of awakening. She would talk to him about her dreams, her aspirations, and the little things that made her smile. I want to travel the world one day, she confessed one afternoon. I want to see the Eiffel Tower and the Great Wall of China. But for now, I'm right here with you. One day, as she was adjusting his sheets, she felt a warmth envelop her hand. Dami's fingers had curled around hers, and her heart raced with excitement. Dami, she exclaimed, her voice filled with hope. Can you hear me? But there was no response, only the steady beeping of the machines. She rushed to find Dr. Okan, her heart pounding in her chest. He moved. I felt it. Doctor? Okan examined Dami, his brow furrowed in concentration. It could be a reflex, he said cautiously, but Amara refused to accept that. She had felt the connection, the spark of life that still resided within him. Chapter 2, The Awakening. Days turned into weeks, and Dami's condition slowly began to improve. He started to respond to stimuli, his eyes fluttering open for brief moments. Amara was there every step of the way, encouraging him, cheering him on. You're doing so well, Dami, she would say, her voice filled with warmth. Just keep fighting. Then, one fateful night, everything changed. Amara was sitting by his bedside, reading a book aloud to him, when she noticed a flicker of movement. Dami's eyelids fluttered, and she held her breath, her heart racing. "Dami, can you hear me?" she whispered, her voice trembling with anticipation. To her astonishment, his eyes opened fully, revealing a deep, confused gaze. "Where am I?" he croaked, his voice barely above a whisper. Tears of joy streamed down Amara's face as she rushed to call Dr. Okan. "He's awake! He's awake!" she shouted, her heart soaring with hope. The room filled with medical staff, and Dami was bombarded with questions. "Do you know your name? Can you tell us what year it is?" But amidst the chaos, his gaze found Amara's, and in that moment, everything else faded away. "Amara," he said, his voice hoarse but filled with recognition. Chapter 3, The Truth Unveiled. As Dami began to regain his strength, he struggled with the fragments of his memory. He could remember flashes of his life before the accident, board meetings, lavish parties, and the weight of expectations. But the details of the crash remained elusive, like a shadow lurking just out of reach. Amara stayed by his side, guiding him through the rehabilitation process. "You're stronger than you think, Dami," she would say, her voice steady and reassuring. "We'll get through this together." But as Dami's physical strength returned, the emotional scars of his past began to surface. He would have nightmares, waking up in a cold sweat, haunted by the images of the crash. "I remember headlights," he would say, his voice trembling. "Bright and then nothing." Amara listened intently, her heart aching for him. She knew that the truth behind the accident was buried deep within him, and she was determined to help him uncover it. One night, as they sat together in his room, Amara took a deep breath. "Dami, I found something in your medical records," she said cautiously. "There was evidence of brake failure in your car." His eyes widened, and he looked at her with a mixture of confusion and fear. "What do you mean?" "I think someone tampered with your brakes," she said softly. "I believe it was deliberate." Dami's expression hardened as the weight of her words sank in. "Why would anyone want to hurt me?" Amara reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "We need to find out the truth, Dami. You deserve to know what happened." Chapter 4, The Investigation. With Amara's support, Dami began to piece together the fragments of his memory. They delved into his past, examining old emails, financial records, and any clues that could lead them to the truth. As they worked together, their bond deepened. Dami found solace in Amara's unwavering support, and she discovered a strength within herself that she never knew existed. They became partners in every sense of the word, united by a common goal and a growing affection for one another. One evening, as they pored over documents in Dami's hospital room, Amara stumbled upon a suspicious money transfer. "Look at this," she said, pointing to the screen. "This transfer was made just days before your accident." Dami leaned closer, his heart racing. "Who is it to?" "Felix Adepoju," Amara replied, her voice steady. "A known criminal with ties to staged accidents." Dami's expression darkened. "And the sender?" Amara hesitated before revealing the name. "Nosai, your half-brother." Dami's jaw clenched as the realization hit him. "He tried to kill me." Chapter 5, Confrontation. With the truth laid bare, Dami and Amara devised a plan to confront Nosa. They arranged a meeting, one that Nosa couldn't resist. Dami wanted answers, and he was determined to face his brother. The night of the meeting, Dami felt a mix of emotions: anger, betrayal, and a sense of purpose. As he entered the family mansion, memories flooded back: childhood laughter, family gatherings, and the bond he once shared with Nosa. But now everything felt tainted by betrayal. Nosa was waiting for him in the dimly lit study, a glass of whiskey in hand. "Well, well," he said with a smirk. "The ghost rises." Dami's expression was cold. "Why did you do it?" Nosa laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the room. "You really have to ask? You were always the chosen one, the golden boy. I was nothing but the leftover." Dami stepped closer, his voice steady. "You tried to murder me, Nosa. You hired a criminal to end my life." Nosa's face twisted with rage. "Guess it didn't work. Shame." Just then, the doors burst open, and two officers in plain clothes stepped inside. "Nosa Ai," one of them said, flashing a badge. "You're under arrest for attempted murder." Nosa's face drained of color as he spun around to Dami. "You set me up." Dami shook his head, his voice calm. "No, brother. You did this to yourself." As the officers cuffed Nosa and dragged him out of the mansion, a strange silence settled over Dami. The weight of betrayal had been lifted, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace. Chapter 6, New Beginnings. With Nosa behind bars, Dami began to rebuild his life. The shadows that had loomed over him for so long had finally lifted, and he was determined to embrace the future. Amara remained by his side, her presence a constant source of strength and support. They spent countless hours together, talking, laughing, and dreaming of what lay ahead. One evening, as they walked through the hospital garden, Dami turned to Amara, his heart full of gratitude. "You saved my life, you know that?" Amara smiled, her eyes sparkling. "I just did my job." "No," Dami insisted, his voice firm. "You gave me a reason to live. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." As they stood beneath the stars, Dami took a deep breath, his heart racing. "Amara, I want to build a life with you. I want to share everything with you." Her breath caught in her throat, and she looked at him with wide eyes. "Dami." He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "Will you marry me?" Tears of joy filled Amara's eyes as she nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Chapter 7, The Wedding. Their wedding was a dream come true, a celebration of love and resilience. Amara stood in her ivory gown, her heart racing as she walked down the aisle toward Dami. The sun cast a warm glow over the ceremony, and the air was filled with laughter and joy. As they exchanged vows, Amara felt a sense of peace wash over her. "I promise to stand by you in every storm, to support you in every endeavor, and to love you unconditionally," she said, her voice steady. Dami smiled, his eyes filled with love. "I promise to cherish you, to protect you, and to always be your partner in life." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, cheers erupted from their friends and family. But in that moment, all Amara could hear was Dami's heartbeat, a rhythm that echoed the love they had built together. Chapter 8, A New Chapter. As they walked away from the noise of the reception, Dami turned to Amara, his expression serious. "No more pain," he said softly. "No more hospitals," she replied, her heart swelling with love. "I used to want a peaceful life," Dami admitted, "but now I want this life with you." Under the night sky, they shared their first kiss as a married couple, sealing their love with a promise of forever. Their journey had been filled with challenges, but through it all, they had found strength in each other. Love had triumphed over adversity, and together they were ready to face whatever the future held. Epilogue, The Power of Love. In the years that followed, Dami and Amara built a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. They traveled the world, exploring new cultures and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Dami's business flourished, but he never forgot the lessons he had learned during his time in the hospital. He became an advocate for mental health awareness, using his platform to help others who had faced similar struggles. Amara continued to work as a nurse, her compassion and dedication inspiring those around her. Together, they created a foundation to support individuals recovering from trauma, ensuring that no one had to face their battles alone. Their love story became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of resilience and the healing nature of love. Dami had once been a man defined by his wealth, but now he was defined by the love he shared with Amara. As they stood hand in hand, watching the sunset over the horizon, Dami turned to Amara, his heart full. "What would you do if the one person who saved your life became your whole world?" Amara smiled, her eyes shining with love. "I would cherish them every day, just like I cherish you." And in that moment, they knew that love could truly heal what money never could.